Yo, what's good? Welcome to episode 3 of the Larry Ohh Show. I have here my co-host, John Phelps.
Going on? How we doing?
How we doing?
How we doing?
Yo, again, thank you for joining us. Again, in every episode from now until forever, we're going to be giving away a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition. In the comments, what you have to do is you have to know the keyword. The keyword is going to be at a random point in this video. I don't know when. John doesn't know when. Nobody knows. But I'm just going to randomly stop in the middle of the video somewhere, and I'm going to say a random keyword that comes to mind. Whoever comments it is going to be entered, and I'm going to pick one person every week to win a copy of FL Producer Edition.
Shouts out Image Line.
Shout out to Image Line for supplying it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get right into it. We had a good week. We got a good couple of weeks.
Yeah, people.
Good couple episodes.
The reaction continues to just be amazing. Like the fact that people are so like tapped in with what we're talking about, and that we've like just been able to identify, I don't know, sort of like a niche audience of people that are out there. Like some of these, I don't know if you've been I've been getting all the notifications, bro.
Yep.
I've been watching.
Yep. I've been in the comments. I'm heavily involved in the comments. I love it. I love interacting. I love answering questions. I love, just everything about it, bro. Everything about this community is just so fire to me. Like the FL community, even other people like I come across that use other DAWs, like they're low key like jealous of the FL community because of how strong it is and how many of us there are.
People in other DAWs wish that they had something like FL. I think that there's like
they They admit it too, and it's not even like one of those things where we're like, look at you, your community isn't good. It's not even like that. It's just like it got like this. I don't know how. It just over the years it got like this, and it is what it is, and it's just top tier community.
Mm-hmm. No, for real. I mean, you see it in the comments. It's all like super positive. All people drop. I mean, this dude dropped in with a citrus drop, which, by the way, big fan of that. We talked about that on the last episode, where it's like citrus, underrated plugin.
Slept on heavily.
We're gonna have to make some citrus content because I think
I think I'm gonna have to.
Wicked crazy.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to.
One thing that was interesting was like people asking if you can use stock plugins even if you're making like a complete song, which I think was interesting because that means that people are kind of like wondering, are these plugins just for making beats? And it's like, no, these plugins are useful for start to finish. Like, everything from compressing your drums and limiting your drum sounds to like limiting and compressing and EQing your master on your final song. It goes all the way through, and like it's testament to how all-inclusive the FL Studio software is.
It's top to bottom. It's
top
packed,
to bottom.
It's packed with the instruments and mixing and effects plugins. It's like no other. It's like no other DAW.
For sure.
There's so many that you will not be able to touch all of them in years. I've been doing this. It's coming on 20 years soon, and there's plugins that I haven't touched. It's just there's just too many.
The biggest thing is to me is learning what the quality is of the plugin and what the desired effect is. And that's when you start to, once you understand it at that level, that's when you realize like, oh yeah, like I can start to finish use these tools included. I think that, nothing against anybody, dropping a comment, but like, it's like when you get out of the habit of using like presets and you start just like tweaking the knobs, and then you start to hear like what actually is going on within the plugin. You know what I'm saying? And
it's time. You just got to spend the time.
Spend the time, get the reps in, get the experience points in. I love talking about the XP for real. Get the hours in. You know what I mean? Sit down with it. Like how many beats have you just made where it slaps and it was just off like laptop speakers?
A bunch.
And I think part of the reason why is because you're listening for different stuff. You're like, if it smacks on that laptop speaker, just coming straight out of it,
it's gonna smack somewhere else.
It's gonna hit so hard
in the system,
And you focus less on certain like extra stuff, like trying to like EQ every single little thing out, and you just focus on that slap. Oh man. If you've ever made a banging laptop speaker beat, drop a comment. We gotta see these laptop speaker
or a
beats.
phone beat, because like I said I think in the first episode, how many people are talking about FL Studio Mobile and making beats on their phone? I mean, the phone test is the test, right? Because that's where the majority of people are listening to their music.
Phone test.
So there's a lot of producers out there making beats on their phones with maybe, like you said too, is just maybe earbuds or the iPhone speaker itself or an Android speaker, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it slaps on there. If you can hear the 808 through a phone speaker, the 808's it's good to go.
It's there.
Yeah. It's there.
Yeah.
Is there any other? There was a couple other comments I think you mentioned earlier too. Like there was some good comments in there.
Somebody dropped SAR in there.
SAR. I was saying that earlier too. Like I can't use SAR for some reason anymore. I stopped. Well, I gave up. Like I said, I gave up on toxic biohazard.
Yep.
I gave up on SAR. It's even hard to say. SAR.
SAR. Yeah, I thought it was
Sawyer?
Sawyer for the longest.
So it's just SAWER, right?
Sawyer.
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 Such a hard thing to say.
It's like you
Sawyer.
can't even say Sawyer for
Yeah.
like
But my Rhode Island accent, I just want to say saw.
saw.
Saw. Saw.
Why you saw?
I use saw.
You see me using saw?
I see saw.
I see
While
saw.
I use saw.
dinosaur.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to
Saw,
find
I
this-
can't. It's like Slayer. Do you remember? You know Slayer. You know what Slayer is?
What? No.
If we're gonna talk about like
The band?
if we're gonna talk about best FL plugins, like let's maybe talk about a couple of the worst ones. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that would be funny.
In
Yeah.
my opinion, the worst VST in FL, and I think even FL will probably attest to it, being one of the worst. Just sound wise is Slayer. It's a guitar plugin, but it's the fakest guitar sound you'll ever hear in your life.
noodliest.
And not to say that you can't use it and be creative with it and make a Grammy award winning song with it, because anything is possible and there's no rules. But this, my opinion, horrible guitar sound. It's the fakest guitar you'll ever hear, which is why you don't hear a lot of guitar or see a lot of guitar plugins out there on the market, because it's so hard to emulate a real guitar with a plugin.
Right.
They tried with Slayer in probably early 2000s, maybe even the late 90s, whenever they made this thing. Just a little square, has a guitar on it, I think a blue guitar, and it's bad. Whenever I hear a beat with that, I'm like, yo, I know they use Slayer. I know for a fact they use Slayer.
My like least favorite plugin when I see it on like somebody's mix or whatever, and I instantly just go like to judgment mode, is Soundgoodizer.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody puts Soundgoodizer on their shit, I'm like, I know this is gonna sound awful, dude. Because those plugins, I mean, listen, dude, it's kicking up every frequency that's in there. And usually when people are putting Soundgoodizer on it, they haven't even EQ'd or leveled out anything that's not supposed to be there. And Soundgoodizer's just kicking up all that dog shit.
And most of the time, it's people that don't know. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't even know what that Soundgoodizer is doing.
Yeah.
It's compressing and limiting the shit out of everything. But what I heard, I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is what I heard. And I can't remember where I heard this information from, but it's very interesting about Soundgoodizer. Might have been from an FL page.
Some lore. Some Soundgoodizer lore.
So Soundgoodizer, what's going on in the background is Maximus.
Oh, and they're just like probably cranking up the pre or the post gain or something.
So in the back end of that, they're using Maximus. Maybe not in every single preset, but I think in the majority, if not all of those presets. Could be 100% wrong. Somebody fact check me. We don't have Jamie here from Joe Rogan, so I don't know.
Pull that up.
I mean, we got Merc. What's in the background? What's running in the background of Soundgoodizer? And I'm pretty sure it's has a lot to do with compression and Maximus.
That's what it sounds like. When I listen to Soundgoodizer, all I hear is mush.
Yeah.
It just sounds like whatever you're just cement blocking in place and then cranking up every single frequency in the mix.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of Soundgoodizer gets a bad rep. I think it's one of those things, if you know what's going on with it, if you know what it's doing,
Yeah.
I think you could get away with using it. And now, so every producer meme in the world is like, Soundgoodizer. I put 10 Soundgoodizers on my master. The Soundgoodizer big knob controls the same parameter as the LMH mix knob on Maximus. I was right. That is the mix between plug-in input and low, medium, and high compressor output. Where's that? Do you know where that is coming from? Is that coming from ImageLine itself?
Yeah.
So I think I was right.
so.
It's coming from Maximus.
And it's just cranking up every single one of those frequency bands.
Yeah. And then you only have the A, B, C, and D presets, and that's what it's doing.
You have like literally the bare minimum control over what is being hiked up is the issue. I mean, if you know somewhat what you're doing, if you want to do like if you know, all right, you know, setting C on Soundgoodizer hikes up, you know, this certain way that I like, and it works really well on like, you know, certain quality instruments like a guitar or like, you know, something like that, or like it works really well on an electric bass or something. Absolutely use it. But when I see that shit on somebody's master chain, I'm like, that we gonna have to revise this.
You might as well. So you're better off going to, if you got it on your master, you might be better off going, you have more control and more preset options too. You might be better off just going to Maximus and finding one of the mastering presets on there and messing around with that and see if it sounds good.
The Master Aid 1?
Yeah. They have like a classic master. They have a lot of mastering presets inside of Maximus that I don't think a lot of people talk about either. Like Maximus is one of those underrated slept-on plugins too.
For sure.
For mastering, like we have a stock mastering plugin in
even
FL
as a
Studio.
de-esser too. If you ever use Maximus
for a
de-esser with the split band, that's good stuff.
I have, because as far as my knowledge goes, we don't have a stock de-esser. I always usually would go to the Waves de-esser if I wanted an actual de-esser, or Maximus.
Yeah, the Maximus de-esser is nice. I mean, I like to turn on that little like what's it called when you can actually see the signal coming through?
Oh, like the spectrum,
right?
Like
and then
spectrum view.
You can just find that little
heat
hot
map,
spot,
heat map view. I think,
and just take it right out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The only thing is if you sweep too hard into it, and that's why you really got to listen, you can dull a lot of the vocals because it doesn't snipe the S's. It just like kind of finds the top end of whatever's going through,
right,
and kind of rolls it off. It sounds like.
Gotcha.
It doesn't just like pluck it out, where some de-essers are able to just like find it.
Yeah, I like the Waves one. It's just like very simple just to use. I wish that's one thing I wish FL had, like its own dedicated de-esser. It could be.
Could be coming up.
There might be one in the patcher presets in the mixing side of things, which we'll get to that a little bit later when we talk about something. We have we got a nice little segment coming up later. In the last episode we did, because only reason I say this and not doing it right now is because I wanted to touch on one more thing before that. But last episode we had a segment, we talked about the 5 favorite VST instruments stock. Today we're gonna be doing our 5 each favorite mixing plugins stock. Effects or mixing plugins stock.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
But this thought just randomly came to my head. I didn't even have this like anywhere written down, but I just thought of it like when it comes to drums, when it comes to making drums, there's I think 2 different producers in the space, right? FL producers, 2 different types of FL producers. One is a step sequencer all the way through and through, and the other guy is the playlist.
Yeah.
The playlist. So which producer are you? Are you a stock? I mean, are you a channel rack producer or are you a playlist drum producer?
So this is funny. I like I'll start and say step sequencer. I'm in there. But for some reason I always drop my cymbals and my reverse cymbals into the playlist.
Me too.
I never put them into the step sequencer, but I keep with the step sequencer for the most part with my beats. I don't know, just kind of how I started with it. But I've made a few beats in the playlist. It's just like, to me, it's a little bit more tedious.
Yeah, you don't have as much control, especially when you start getting into hi-hats. But a lot of EDM producers are using the playlist because I think everything it does hit harder.
It does.
It hits harder because, do you know why it hits harder? So I figured this out. And I'm like, why does the playlist, why do drums in the playlist hit harder than the step sequencer? One main reason is just levels. The levels when you drop an audio sample into the playlist, it automatically is hitting at 100. When you drop one, say from the browser into the channel rack, and you start going in piano roll, or just you stay in that alone, the velocity in the piano roll when you go and look at it is at 80.
Yeah, right.
It's not at 100, which is why whenever I go in there, especially I do this with kicks and 808s when I'm doing them in the step sequencer. I go into the piano roll and max all the velocities at 100.
Yeah.
You know, say I created an 808 pattern.
Because they won't
I'm
peak
going all the
either.
way through. No, they won't clip. They're just hitting at their fullest level.
Yeah.
And when you drop them in the playlist, there's none of that. It's already hitting at 100%.
Got you. So it's just that like that little velocity,
Yeah.
weed that pops
And I
up.
think it's just a weird default thing, maybe to prevent clipping. I don't know why. I really don't know why it's like that, but it is. So if you ever see like a producer online going into the piano roll right after it, and with kicks and 808s especially in hip hop, trap, even in EDM, boom, they're going straight across and making everything 100% because they don't hit as hard.
You could just like playlist your kicks and snares and then go into the step sequencer with the hi-hats, because
You could do that.
pattern it right out.
Yep.
And they have to hit out they don't have to hit at a lower velocity, but they tend to.
Yep.
And like,
But to me, even if I did that, because I've tried it,
yeah.
like I'm step sequencer through and through.
Gang.
With the whole thing, the whole
Frequencer
nine.
gang.
Like you said, exactly the way you said too, like cymbals and reverses and other like odds and ends effects are gonna go into the playlist. But when it comes to strictly drums, kick, snare, claps, hi-hats, percussion, rim shots, 808s, step sequencer all day.
Yeah.
The reason why it's also like you said you could do kicks and snares in the playlist, but let's say you want like a fill or a roll with the kick drum. Then you gotta go in. I mean, you gotta change the grid anyway in the piano roll, but it just seems like so much more of a hassle in the playlist to change the grid, to a smaller grid if you want to do a faster snare roll. Then if you start, I want a snare roll, but then I want to change the pitch of my snare roll. So what are you going to do? Change the pitch of every single audio clip in the playlist? No, you're going to go into the piano roll and into the step sequencer, into the piano roll, and change the pitch, which is essentially still in the step sequencer, technically.
Yeah. That, like, if
chain.
you want to get into that, it's just like, you just do right into the step sequencer. And I feel like, I don't know why, it's about workflow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think people we're creatures of habit. When we find something that works as like producers, we find something that works, and like it takes a lot to like deviate from it a lot. Like sometimes where you're just like, I'll be open. I consider myself a pretty open-minded person, and I'm ready to like do different, do things differently. But by the same token, some shit I'm just like, what you mean? This is the way we do it, baby. This is the way we do it.
We just get stuck, set in our ways. I'm guilty of it.
If I want to switch up the kicks for, that little passage, all I'm going to do is make unique on that loop right there. I'm going to go into the step sequencer and make them hit a little bit differently. I'm going to put the shuffle right there. I'm going to go into the snares, make them roll, make them pitch, just like you said, like just...
Yep.
Automate the pitch.
Yep. A couple other things I wanted to talk about too was to switch it up a little bit to go back on some vocal stuff, some vocal sauce. I wanted to do like a verses. We don't have to go through a whole list of verses, but I want to do like a verses, one plugin versus another plugin.
Okay.
Right? And this is for vocal tuning. So when it comes to vocal tuning, we all know, if you don't know, FL Studio has one of the best stock auto tuning. I know you can't say auto tuning because that's the brand, but you know what I mean, like tuning, automatic tuning plugin called Pitcher, fire, right out the gate. Nothing too special. Obviously, it's not going to sound as great as a $1,000 pitching plugin, but I've used it for many sessions and everybody is satisfied with it. And then you have Newtone, which is the manual way of doing things. So essentially, it's like Waves Tune or it's like Melodyne, but stock. For FL, another stock plugin that like people sleep on.
Yeah,
we have a Melodyne in FL Studio.
Right.
So put it this way. I mean, I guess it depends song by song, but when you're doing your vocals and you want to get a polished tuning, are you going to Pitcher or are you going to Newtone or are you doing both?
Yeah, I'll send it through the Pitcher. And then I'll kind of get it to where I want it to hit. I'll have the speed all the way up at first to sort of like find if it like the right key and if it's generally hitting in the right spot. Then I'll taper that speed back to kind of fit where I want it to. Sometimes a little faster if there's like that embellishment that you kind of want, that flair. And then if there's just like a note, usually like a transient note or like a tail off or some sort of roll, that's when I'll kind of use Newtone to kind of like click it into the scale.
It's a good way of using it. I've used it like that a lot.
Just like an assistance,
Yeah.
Just where
because sometimes the notes just don't hit right with just Pitcher.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of nudge a little note.
What's cool is you can make new melodies with new tone.
Newtone?
I know you've done a lot of that.
Bro, some of my best like content and even just like music in general was done. Like I've created harmonies from scratch with Newtone. So I'll pull in a vocal. I've done it with your vocals in the past.
Yeah.
I've done it. I can't remember what song was it? They might have to go back and look what song we did together, but maybe I can pull it up afterwards and drop it in the comments. But awesome song. And I remember making a harmony off of one of the vocals with just Newtone. So I take the vocal, I would know what key it's in. So I would bring it and drag it into Newtone, or you can right click and you can hit open in Newtone.
Yeah.
However which way you do it. Bring it up into Newtone. It analyzes it. It gets the notes and the pitch and all that. Then you can go up into the scissor tool. See, this is why we got to get a laptop on the podcast.
Facts, and we can see it right in real time. Yeah.
So I think some people mention that, just a little side note, is to maybe like we get a little bit more interactive with it and bring a laptop. So that's definitely in the cards for the podcast, which is going to make things just level up a little bit more. Facts. But so I'm trying to remember off the top of my brain in Newtone, little scissor tool up top, bring it down, and then you can go to scale. Then you can choose the scale. So whatever scale the song is in, choose the scale. Right click instead of left click so it doesn't close the whole thing out. Then you can also hit snap to scale. So choose the scale. Then right next to it, above it, it's snap to scale. So choose snap to scale, close that window out. Then inside the grid, now you have this vocal that's like, looks like the piano roll, which is another reason why I love Newtone, because it's just set up like everything else in FL Studio and so easy to pick up if you know other plugins. It's not like learning a different language, really. When you buy or get a new third-party plugin, it's like, they got their own way of creating these things. So now with the snap to scale feature, say you're in C sharp minor. Now anytime you bump a note up or down in the scale, you're staying within C sharp minor. You're not going to put any of those notes into a wrong note in the scale. Right. So no matter what you do, it might not sound right, but it's going to be in the scale of C sharp minor.
And then that opens the door to creativity right there.
So then I don't know,
work around.
Somebody like me that doesn't know music theory, that's a game changer, because now I can just like audition different things. I can even not listen to it at all and just move a note up, down, up, down, up, down, and kind of leave it and then just drag it in and see if it works. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll maybe go back.
Yep.
The one thing I will say when you do the harmonies like that, and this goes for recording harmonies from scratch or doing it this way, making fake harmonies, right? I will say that sometimes it sounds like it doesn't go, even though if you do a little bit of mixing, it goes.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Merc
for sure,
might know what I'm talking about. Like it might just be like an EQ thing. Some of the low
EQ
frequencies.
or leveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times, or a stereo separation thing. That brings me to like a different level of finding space in the mix with those harmonies. So say you just do the one main vocal, you've created the fake harmony. Doesn't sound right. It's maybe sounds like it's clashing, or maybe the notes don't sound like they're right, but you got to try a couple more things before you pass on it, because like I said, EQ out the lows, make it really thin, or I'll do a stereo separation thing where I'll go into the sampler. So I'll double click on the audio, go into the sampler, go into pre-computed effects, and stereo delay it left or right.
Yeah.
Splits the signal, and it makes it sound like it's almost two vocals wide. And that gives it a different aspect, gives it its own space, and sometimes instantly it just makes it click, and it makes it sound like it goes right away.
And those frequencies that we're fighting are now spread out so that they're not like taking up too much of the sonic sphere,
bro. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy how sound works, bro. It's wild. So you
Because
gotta try
hear it and
different
you'll
things.
be like, oh, that sounds out, but really what it is it's cluttered, you know? And like some people will get like super like stereo separation happy, I notice.
Yeah,
like
me.
sometimes people will put like
I do. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, some of our early stuff, like I feel like when we probably first learned about like the stereo separation knob, was game changer, by the way. But like
The one in the mixer or the one in the sampler?
the one in the mixer,
Yeah, the one in the mixer is game changer.
where we would like just be like, oh, it makes it sound so epic and wide. Send it all the way.
Crank it.
Crank it.
Right? But so there might be some people wondering like, oh, I don't have that knob. You do. Everybody has that knob in FL's mixer. Sometimes you just have to change the view of your knob. I mean, not your knob, but your mixer. You have to change the view so you can see that knob. In the super compact one, or there's another one. So in the top left of your mixer, there's a drop down that might say compact, compact 1, compact 2, whatever.
Yeah.
Some of those may not show the stereo separation knob.
Gotcha.
And you just have to choose a different view on your mixer. I always use the, I think it's, I don't know, it's like extra wide or ultra big. I don't know, the biggest one, extra large, I think. I think I just go to the extra large one because I put it on my my right screen and it just takes up the entire right monitor.
Dual monitor.
So I have the dual monitor setup.
Hey.
Life game changer, bro. I'll never go back to a single screen unless I have to if I'm in a situation where mixer just stays on that right screen, bro. On the extra large
Dual
mode.
monitor, bro. Command center.
Because then you can see, like, especially when I was doing like heavy vocals all the time, and like whenever I'm mixing a song with vocals in it, I have to have that mixer open all the time, just so I can sit back and just see things and listen.
Right.
And if I can see the most amount of mixer tracks that way too.
Yeah. And you're not jumping between views and windows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have like ADD when it comes to that stuff too. So if I bring something up that I'm working on, I'll forget about something else that I have in the background. So I like just having things kind of spread out and where I can see the majority of things going on at the same time. So the mixer being over there is a game changer. Having that on the extra large view or another one so you can see that stereo separation knob is key too. Speaking of like mixing and mixing's, techniques and plugins, last episode we did the top 5 VSTs. Yeah. This episode this week, we're going to do our top 5 favorite mixing FL stock plugins. You want to start this one again, or you want me to start it?
You start it up.
All right, I'll start it again.
We got Larry's picks.
My number one, again, is Patcher.
Yeah.
You might think, if you don't know what Patcher is, most underrated stock plugin in the world. Not even in just FL, in the world.
In the world.
I can't say it enough. I'll say it on every podcast, every interview, every week if I can. Underrated. Especially more so on the mixing side of things, because when you open it up, the presets alone, not only can you do the same thing you can as a VST instrument, where you can stack plugins on plugins on plugins and make your own plugin essentially. You could do that, but the presets inside of Patcher as a mixing plugin. So if you open it up in the mixer, it's different. Like the presets come up different. That you don't see them if you open it up in the channel rack with the plus button. So you see a whole different list of presets in there. A lot of one knob presets. So the one knob presets might not be, like you said, like it's almost like a Soundgoodizer thing. So you got to really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But there is like a laundry list of presets in there. Compression, limiting, even sidechain stuff. So it's like a legit sidechain preset in there.
So it's got like a mix of like stylized effects as well as just stuff that you would just use to like, compress your vocals and make them like uniform throughout the thing.
So there'll be different effects like sauce up type
like
effects.
satellite delay.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
As well as a one knob compressor.
Nice.
A one knob limiter.
Nah.
Hell
yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's wild, bro. It's a game changer.
Have you like listened to kind of like what the characteristics of the compressor are? Is it like generally like harsh, or is it like
There's a couple of different ones that are less harsh, more harsh.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
The one knob one specifically. And I was thinking about this earlier. Now that I'm thinking about the Patcher presets in the mixing side of things, it seems like there's a different company that makes those. It's called Wise Labs. So if you open it up and you look like in the bottom right, so it's almost like they went to another company or just somebody that has their own brand that just makes those presets. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah. They definitely tapped in, because I've always wondered like who makes the plugins and stuff and who makes the instruments. Like it's all these different
I wonder
and all
if
that
they
stuff. I want to meet some of these
if they
folks.
outsource, or I'm sure that they have people within the company. I'd love to interview somebody that's on that team.
Oh,
that
you
designed.
you made the citrus bell.
Yeah, like who made Sakura? That would be crazy to have guests on.
That would
bro.
be amazing. Yo,
Like I already got a list of guests going, but we got to add that to the list. We got to do some research.
The in-house
find out who
sound
made
designers.
Sakura. Like who I want to interview the person or people that made Sakura.
Yeah.
Or any like stock plugin that's fire. That would be crazy
That would be sick.
to get people on like that.
Absolutely.
Wild, bro.
Get like VST designers, and I'd be so into that. That would be so sick. I use your VST all the time.
All right, I got sidetracked, but man, we talk too much. I talk too much. My number 2 is gross beat. I mean, if you don't know gross beat, you must be living under a rock, or you just started out. No judgment, but gross beat, amazing stock plugin for effects. So this isn't necessarily a mixing plugin. Effects, you got time and you got volume. So gating, where it can sound like you're side chaining a melody or a vocal. Put it on whatever you want. It's like split in 2. You got time, where it can glitch things out. So it's got all different presets for glitches and halftime glitches. So that's where like the first time I ever came across a halftime thing in my life was through gross beat.
Made some
where you
hard beats with gross beat.
So not only do they have that first list of presets, it's almost like you got to go in the back end and change the preset list. So in order to get to that halftime, it doesn't say halftime. I think it says half speed, or like, it says half speed.
I think half speed, right?
Yeah. In order to get to that, you have to go to the menu and presets, and then go to momentary. You have to change that whole list of presets to momentary.
Yep.
And then you can get to that halftime.
I love with gross beat specifically where you can so like you have on your level or your inserts where you have all the different effects and stuff, the input level of each plugin. I love with gross beat whatever the effect is that I decide on, just like cutting that in half.
So you're saying, so
it's dual signals, the original sound mixed with like the reversed version or the pitched up version.
You know what I love doing in gross beat? Sometimes I won't even use it as the glitching side. I'll leave the glitch alone. And on the bottom, I'll do a gate. I'll do a side chain.
Yeah.
But it'll be like a 4 on the floor side chain meant for like some EDM stuff. I'll take out the second and the fourth one. So it's just the 1 and the 3. So it's just a side chain on the 1 and the 3, and then I'll do what you said, and I'll bring down that volume mix knob on the gate. So it's just a slight little side chain effect going on. And then I'll throw some other like effects. That's great for doing things and making your melodies really stand out.
And then just like for the people watching, don't stop there. Like once you hear what Larry and I are talking about, don't just like jack that and be like, oh, I'm gonna crank it to 50. Try adding another gross beat to the mixer chain and like messing around with that. Try printing the entire thing and then manipulating that. Like resample your thing. So that way we within the producer community are perpetuating like just creativity as opposed to like doing shit that people are already doing. You know what I mean? Like
just don't stop. I
never stop playing. You know, have
it's
fun
so
with
much
it.
fun. Get it to just have fun with it. I mean, that's something that I just like fell in love with specifically, is doing that kind of thing. And essentially, I don't know what you would really categorize it as. I mean, it's producing, but like
Tinkering.
sampling, tinkering, producing, whatever you want to call it.
Vibing.
I love doing that stuff, bro. I'll take it, bounce it to audio.
Get wacky.
In audio, maybe I'll reverse it, or maybe I'll duplicate it. The duplicated version, I'll pitch down in a full octave. I'll duplicate another one, make it as unique. Copy that one down. I'll reverse that one. Just keep messing with the samples.
Always.
Even if it's on a sample that you made or that you didn't make, that you may downloaded from a pack, free pack, paid pack, FL Cloud, whatever. Manipulate them. Make it your own. Have fun with it.
Make it your own.
Because that's where you're gonna get your style. That's where you're gonna get your sauce. That's where you're gonna get your sound. Like mess with it.
And that's what these tools are all about anyways, is like you have this ability, right? Like you have this ability to manipulate, so use it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not about just like speeding through, like speed running your beats. Like don't speed run your beats. Sit there, vibe with it for a minute, literally just find the hardest loop. Take that sound, have that on repeat, loop it up until it's just hitting just the right way. Use stuff like the gross beat, the patcher, like the different delays and stuff.
Bro, we're only on number 3. So number 3 for me is Fruity Delay.
Of course. You know what I
Fruity
mean?
Delay 3. Number 3, Fruity Delay 3.
Delay 3 is
the shit
so
you can
sick.
do with Fruity Delay 3 is out of this world. So the ping pong, the different styles of delay, the panning, the stereo separation, the warping that you can do in there. If you haven't messed with Fruity Delay 3, you need to. start using it. If you're on 2 still, that's fine. But if you want a little bit more sauce, a little bit more extra,
listen,
Fruity
Fruity Delay
3.
3, you get the little like distortion on there. Bro.
Yep, out of control. I've even seen this dude Giorts. I think he's from Greece, so his name on Instagram is Giorts. It's like GEORTZ, something like that. He put me on to this crazy technique to use with Delay 3, and it's not even essentially a delay, but you can use it if you put the time all the way down and you do one other setting. I'm gonna have to pull it up and do it, but you can essentially make it into a lo-fi plugin out of the delay. So you're taking the time out of it, and you're just using the effects portion of the plugin.
Right.
And he turned it into a lo-fi plugin where it's wobbly, shaky. It almost sounds like an RC20 type of vibe with Fruity Delay 3, bro. Crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Experiment. Have fun. Have fun with that. You know?
Number 4 is Newtone. We talked heavily on Newtone, so I won't go into that as much. Newtone, game changer for vocal.
You gotta know.
And number 5.
I see number 5.
You see number 5?
Heavy.
Fruity Soft Clipper.
Uh-huh.
Use this on your drums, on your single drums, on your kicks to get that punch, to get the 808 to really stand out in your mix, the punch. And I mean, most importantly, where I see myself and a lot of other producers using it is on the master. If you're making beats, don't master your beats. Don't fully master just a beat. It's not necessary. People, I think, misconstrue the word master, right? Master a full song when it's done. But if you're looking to put your beats out there on streaming platforms or looking to get artists on them, don't fully master them. You want room for the artist. You want that space. You want that dynamic in that master, in that mix, right? So just throw the soft clipper is fine on there.
Love the soft clipper. And for the longest time, I didn't really understand like what exactly it was doing, but it seems to be like just a nice like saturation.
Yeah.
And then, a soft clipping. You know what I mean? And it's just like, whoo.
Yep, you got hard clipping and soft clipping. Hard clipping is a limiter, and the soft clipper is it's rolled off.
It's just like, it's like that sauce that you put on something and you're just like, what is that? You know
Just
what I mean?
just the right bit of sauce.
Just a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
Nice little flavor.
A little bit of soft clipper in the mix. Your shit is gonna sound so fucking phenomenal. People are gonna be like, "How would you do that with soft clipper, bruv?"
So we got my top 5.
A little bit of chomp on that.
So that's my top 5 mixing. What's your top 5?
My top 5 is very similar. I would say if we're doing mixing top 5s, Fruity Compressor. Come on, man. You can't even just... That's my style, baby.
Yep.
Just Fruity Compressor. Can't get any better. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a good.
It's got a nice vintage setting on there. I'll use that for guitars. It's good for if you're trying to just glue together like a little bit on the master. Put that, 1-to-1 ratio, super light. Dial that, that threshold back and compensate with the gain. It's just great. You know what I mean? And forget about it with the vocals. Like just a nice little...
That's a slept-on stock plugin too.
Yeah.
People, when you think, compressed vocals, compressed instruments, nobody really, I feel like, wants to go to a stock plugin for that kind of thing. Everybody's always right away looking, all right, what's compressor
out there?
that this producer's using in his videos or
and what they really
songs.
are looking for in that sense, is kind of like a hack or a preset. I feel like a lot of times, and what I like
because they don't understand compression.
And
you gotta take the time.
Compression is one of those tools that you're pretty much exclusively using your ears, and that's why a lot of people pick it up last.
Yep, I did. I know I did.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Yep.
But once I figured it out, I was just like, oh, now I've leveled up. There are a few times where you level up your mixing. Compression is one of them. Once you understand like how it's working, when you understand like attack and release, that's also a big one.
You know what can help you? What helped me a lot, understand compression. And if you're a visual learner and you have a hard time, like I feel like I had a hard time learning with just my ear.
Yeah.
I always need like a little bit of a visual. What helped me is the Fruity limiter on the compressor setting because it gives you the visual of what is actually happening when you compress something.
Yeah.
You can actually physically
you can listen
see
for it. Yeah.
and then you can listen at the same time and you're like, oh my God, that's literally
That
what's
helps.
happening right now.
Yeah.
Now I can have it in my brain, like what's going on when I master a vocal, what's actually happening to this wave. If I see this wave and I see the little peaks coming down and I see the gray line mixed with the blue line, I know this was my new signal and this is my old signal. You know, I could see what's going on with compression. I know how to, I know what's going on now. That helped me a lot.
I say number two. Number two, I'm a little crazy here, but I'm going to the chorus. I'm gonna put a little bit of chorus on the vocal, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just adjust it so that it's barely audible within context. Not isolated vocal, but within context of the rest of the music, just where it's just adding a little bit of extra something.
Fruity chorus.
Fruity chorus. And just feeling it shift. You know, like, that's what I mean, like, listening to it within the context of the music, you're just feeling for a difference. So that's why I'd put fruity chorus in there. Again, it's not like all the time. It's not for everything.
And do you feel like you get like a little bit of stereo width out of it? Is that
Yeah, it kind of feels like, it makes it feel like whatever's being said might as well be a hook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whatever he's saying sounds good as hell right now. And I think that the chorus does that.
Will you put that on your main vocal takes, like a verse?
Yeah.
Like a single vocal take, just slightly?
Yeah, especially if it's got like a little bit of a melody line to it, or if it's got like a catchy cadence, like something that's
Any
more
specific preset in there that you put it on? Or you just
No,
like
the
open it up and leave it?
default. Yeah, sometimes I'll just like go right into the default one, and then just literally adjust the input on that mixer on that
Inside the
stack.
mixer knob. Yep.
Yeah,
I know
just
what you're saying.
the input on that. I don't mess around too much with like all the extra knobs. It's fun sometimes when you want to go for like a stylized something, like a stylized chorus on like a guitar thing where you're like, I want a specific feel. But with chorus and stuff, I always listen in context, because for me, it's all about like what the chorus is kind of doing within everything else, you know? Fruity Delay 3, we talked about it. Fruity Delay 3 is just such a powerhouse. Like, I'm a big Fruity Delay 2 guy.
Yeah.
But with Fruity Delay 3, it's so cool to like hear, I don't know, like I mentioned it, where there's like a little distortion effect where you can just put like the delay with the distortion. You can
It just cuts down the other effects that you would normally put on it.
Yeah.
Like, so you don't have, it just takes away like more plugins. Like you
Right.
have everything within Delay 3. You have all these different ways you can manipulate it.
I mean, the Fruity Limiter, great mixing stock plugin. Like, I think the Fruity Limiter, once, like, you really put me onto that, honestly, where I was like, I loved how glued together the vocals sounded, where it was just like, it's going to hit at that spot all the way through, no matter what the dynamic shift might be.
Especially
It's
for
just
your
making
vocal
it hit
and
there.
rap vocals, man.
Rap vocals, you want
Something that you know is going to be consistent.
Yeah.
You can put one limiter setting on the entire vocal
right.
and just crush it just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. Like, just anybody listening or watching, you just put that limiter on, take a little, roll it back, and then just boost it. And it's just going to stick to that 0 dB.
You know, sauces on that too. If you use the saturation knob and just a little tiny click,
Yeah.
like 2 clicks to where it turns red, like right when it turns red, so it's activated,
Yep.
and leave it.
Yeah.
And it adds just this little bit of like saturation that's just so fire.
Yeah. And part of the reason why it's so important to get into, I feel like those are like the founder plugins. Like, those are the plugins that, when you use stuff like Soundgoodizer, they're pulling from these plugins, or other plugins are probably pulling from the limiter, where like once you're in the limiter, the original sauce god, you're in there and you're realizing like saturation, compression rate, or like the threshold, like that's where you're kind of, what you just said. You said just a tiny bit of saturation, literally 1 click. With the presets and stuff, what usually happens is, if you look at that saturation knob, it's probably like 6 clicks.
It's cranked, yeah.
It's cranked.
Yeah.
And, not for everything. Not for everything. Better to figure out on
Before you
your
move
own,
on to the next one, limiter, like, let's not even gloss over the fact that we use, I've in the past 1 million times used the limiter for side chaining.
Oh yeah.
So you on the compressor setting, you're using
Right.
that. So
Again.
you're using the fruity limiter, but not on the limiter setting. If you're not familiar with the fruity limiter, there's 2 tabs. Limiter is on by default, and then you can choose. You can turn it over to the compressor setting. So if you want a side chain,
Yeah.
that's what I use side chaining for. And that's how I side chain a lot of my stuff.
And side chaining is not just like the EDM effect of like boom, bum, bum, boom, bum. It's also like I want that kick to hit a little extra hard. I'm gonna side chain the 808 and mess with the release so that way the second that kick is done, the bass is back.
Yeah.
It's not like a wobble.
Yep. It's
but
a
just-
mixing effect rather than an effect.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's a mixing technique rather
Yeah.
than an effect.
You're gonna make that kick just
Yep.
be right up in there, you know? And that's why Fruity Limiter in my top 5. Easy.
Very versatile.
Sniped it. Wow.
What do you want now? 4?
I think
no, that was 4.
I think that might be 4.
So one more.
And then I'll go to
Maybe pitch shifter?
yeah. Pitch shifter. Oh, pitch shifter is wicked cool.
You just in real life pitch shifted.
Yeah. I would say, damn, do I want to, here's the thing. Do I want to go, I could go 2 ways with it.
You only got 1 slot left.
I know, this is the tough part when you got to get to the last one.
Yep.
I mean, I'll say I was going to do the reverb, one of the reverbs, whatever, it's fine. we'll do the parametric EQ 1. Love parametric EQ 2.
There you go.
But I'm putting this out there for y'all. Get involved with the parametric EQ 1 just to kind of figure out what's going on. You ain't got to keep whatever you do, but just start to hear the relation and be like, oh, all right, that's what I'm doing when I'm scooping out this specific band area.
Yep.
When I narrow the band there. Try doing additive EQ with the parametric 1 and subtractive EQ with parametric 2. You know what I'm saying? Try it out. Mix it up. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we touched on that in the first episode, and I did like one of the short videos on that.
Yeah.
Bro.
If you can EQ without using your eyes, you're in great shape. If you can use compression without using your eyes, you're in great shape. Like you're miles ahead of the game. But obviously use all the tools at your facility. You know what I'm saying? If you have eyes, use them. But also be like, start to it's like, what do they call it when you're working out? You got like mind body. You know what I'm saying? You start to develop that. Same thing with your ears and your eyes. You start
muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory, and you realize, oh, all right. You start to correlate what these ratios are doing in terms of the effect that they have on your ears.
Right.
Yep. So yeah,
that's a good top 5. I think it's keyword time.
Oh, it is.
It's keyword time.
We got
today's keyword. For those of you still listening and watching, this is where you're gonna get this keyword, and you're gonna enter to win a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition. So in the comments, comment the word Beetlejuice. So now,
You like my jersey?
and in between this episode and the next episode, I will go through the comments and see whoever commented that keyword. I'm going to choose one of you to win. And like I said, every other week, we're going to be doing the same thing. FL giveaway every single week. Shout out to Image Line. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything more to talk about.
No, I mean, with 10 minutes left on the block, it's like we could do a quick little rapid fire or something, but we could also just call it.
Yeah, we can call it. Let's call it. Let's save it for the next one.
Yeah.
Let us know down in the comments what you want to see in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us and watching our podcast. Check it out every single Tuesday. You got anything else to say?
I wanted to drop a. No, I'm good. It's John Phelps, ITS John Phelps on all the social media stuff.
All the links down in the description below. You can check us both out on all socials.
Yeah.
And as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and make sure to share this with a friend if you get me.